Hi folks, in today's video we are going to be looking at fertilizers and another calculation called percentage composition. So what is a fertilizer? So fertilizers are something that require so that plants can grow. There are three main elements that plants require, and they are nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Sometimes we call them as NPK. Now these fertilizers can be removed from the soils when you pick up crops, dig up potatoes, that kind of stuff, and they do need to be replaced, and that's where a fertilizer comes in. Fertilizers are substances which restore those healthy elements into the soil so plants are able to grow. Fertilizers must be soluble in water so that they can actually be taken up by the plant. There's no point in having an insoluble fertilizer because it's not going to help. If you go to the data book, page 8, there's a lovely table at the bottom which has insoluble and soluble compounds, so you can use that for a reference. However, if they are too soluble, what that means is they sometimes can be washed away by the rain and ends up causing pollution with neighbouring rivers. So we are going to look at two important fertilisers that are made by the chemical industry. We're going to look at the production of ammonia and nitric acid. They're really important compounds that are used to produce fertilisers, so they mainly make nitrogen. So the Haber process is used to manufacture ammonia, and we've got this little equation here. Now the little arrow, it means that it's a reversible reaction, so that means that not always ammonia is produced. Sometimes it can go back the way and make nitrogen and hydrogen. So here we have a diagram of the Haber process. It's fairly complicated and you'll be lucky to know that you don't need to know all of it. Really your main points here are your iron catalyst and the fact that it's got a high pressure and a moderately high temperature. Basically everything in the kind of purple box here is what you want to look for. The other process is called the Oswald process, and that is made with nitric acid. Nitric acid is a really important chemical in the industry of fertilisers, and just in general we use nitric acid a lot in reactions. Now the nitric acid is made from ammonia, so that ammonia from the Haber process can get reused in something called the Oswald process to make that nitric acid. Again, here we have our diagram, but you only need to know the orange box, so the fact that a platinum catalyst is used and that we've got kind of moderately high temperatures. So here we have some examples. We've got calcium phosphate, magnesium phosphate and zinc phosphate. They can't be used as a fertiliser. And why is that? Well, again, they're insoluble, but they do all contain the phosphate ion, which is PO4. So they do have phosphorus in them, but they're not soluble in water, so they're not going to be able to be used as a fertiliser. So sometimes with fertilisers, or just any compounds in general, it's useful to know how much of one element is in a compound. That is called the percentage composition of that compound. So I've got a question here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain how to calculate it. Okay, so here's the question. So your first step, so step 1, and you want to work out the gram formula mass of the compound, of your compound. And in this case, we have got iron oxide. So what that means is we've got 2 irons, which is 56. And we've got 3 oxygens, which is 16, which gives us a gram formula mass of 160. Step 2, what you want to do is work out the GFM of element asked. In this case, it's iron. Now there's 2 of them in the formula, so you do 56 times 2 to get your answer. 112. And then step 3, you want to do percentage composition is element over compound, and you times that by 100. So in this case we have 112 divided by 116, 160, sorry. And you want to times that by 100, which gives you a total of 70%. Here we have 3 examples of percentage composition, so feel free to pause and try them yourself just to see how you get on with them. And that's it, had a quick look at fertilisers, including percentage composition calculations.